Have you ever been on a weight loss diet and asked yourself, is this going to be my reality for the rest of my life? Having to go on extreme diets and being hungry all the time? Why can't I just keep the weight off? If that sounds like you, then this video is just for you. I started my fitness journey doing what every other YouTube and Instagram video tells you to do. Yes, I lost weight, but I was completely exhausted and burnt out because I was pushing my body past the point of exhaustion and stressing out an already stressed out body. Let's make your weight loss journey a lot easier, and let's do it in a way that doesn't require anything extreme or unsustainable. I'm going to share 9 often overlooked tips that have helped me lose weight and keep it off without burning out. No short-term fixes, totally doable and sustainable. But first, let me share some of the mistakes I've made by sharing my weight loss journey. As I tell you my story, do you think you'll be able to spot the mistakes that I made? In recent years, my heaviest has been 145 pounds, which is around 20 pounds more than I am today. As you can see, those extra pounds look significant on me because I'm only 5'2", and I also felt really sluggish and tired. I didn't like how I looked, and most importantly, I did not like how I felt. I started losing weight in phases. First, because I didn't really know what I was doing, I hired a trainer at my gym, and I lost the first, I would say, 10 pounds. I did hit a plateau very early on because my snacking was out of control. I was eating all the sweet things in the world and all the greasy chips that I could lay my hands on. Then I decided to dial in my eating by purchasing Katie Corio's Bikini Challenge 2.0. It was a 12-week program, and it also had an eating plan. I stayed pretty lean at that point because I was working out 5 to 6 days a week, between 1.5 to 2 hours each time. I was following a meal plan, and I was meal prepping, like spending hours on the weekend meal prepping. I significantly cut my calories and eating lots of rice cake. After doing the program twice, I weighed around 130 pounds, which I was quite happy with because my goal was no longer a number on the scale. It became more about how I felt, wanting to feel strong and look toned. It was a little bit too intense for me, to the point that I was so exhausted that I went to my family doctor asking if something was wrong with me. I was completely tired all the time. What I then realized is that the way a lot of people talk about fitness and weight loss can be really unrealistic, unhealthy, totally stressful, not something that the average person can commit to, and sometimes only reserved for people who are athletes or fitness influencers. Then the lockdowns happened in 2020 and there was no more gym, and I had no idea what to do with myself. So I regained the weight, but then also at that point I met my boyfriend, and he was a little overweight, so he wanted to join a diet program. He asked me to join with him, for support and all of that. I didn't realize what exactly I was in for. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. The hardest phase of it lasted 39 days, and during that time there was minimal carbs, no fat. You could eat non-starchy vegetables, so things like lettuce and cucumbers, or meals only included lunch and dinner, and there was absolutely no snacking allowed in between. It was super restrictive, and the hunger pangs had me just feeling horrible. It wasn't the best experience for me. He lost around 30 pounds, and I only lost 10, I think it was like 8 pounds, and I was down to 122. The issue with that, though, is that a lot of that weight loss was really muscle. And so I ended up looking and feeling really weak, and that just definitely was not the physique that I was going for. After the diet, I slowly put the weight back on because I wasn't actually taught how to eat healthily in an everyday life. People say that it gets more challenging to lose weight as you hit your 30s, and even more challenging as you hit your 40s. Well, I just hit 38 and I've been able to lose weight and keep it off, and especially been able to lose that stubborn fat that I've been trying to lose years prior. And making the changes that I'm about to share with you has made it easier for me than ever before. Diets like the one I just described to you are really restrictive and in the long term are very difficult to do. So the weight loss almost always ends up being temporary. If you're ready for long-term change, a life transformation, if you will, then it's time to stop dieting and start managing your nutrition on a day-to-day basis. Extreme measures and unrealistic results are mentally damaging and only set you up for disappointment. So here's tip number 1. If it's not sustainable, don't do it. Remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So take it slow, put in the consistent work, and don't put your body through extreme measures. The next tip has been a game changer because not only do I feel fuller with more fiber, but eating this way is low in fat and calories and easy to do. Fruits and vegetables are the staple in my nutrition plan now. I create lower calorie versions of the foods I love with things like banana and ice cream. I add vegetables to my meals to bulk it up. I eat a small salad with my dinner and sometimes lunch. And as much as I can, instead of snacking on processed foods, I eat fruit. The key is that I don't eat the fruit, especially the fruit, but I don't eat the fruits and veggies in addition to what I normally eat because that only adds more calories. What I do is I substitute the high caloric foods with the fruits and veggies. My body won't burn fat unless I train it to do so. So my current goal is to train my metabolism to consistently operate in an aerobic fashion. In basic terms, aerobic means with oxygen and anaerobic means without oxygen. During an anaerobic effort, for example, a 10-second sprint, your body burns glycogen as its primary fuel while causing your body to store fat. On the other hand, during aerobic efforts like moderate exercise sustained over a period of time with a proper diet, you burn fat as your primary fuel. Unlike fads, supplements, and myths, aerobic training has decades of research behind it. Properly developing my aerobic system will not only help my performance, but will burn off the excess fat and give me more energy. To do this, I am now training with a heart rate monitor for 2 months to develop and maximize my aerobic system. After 2 months, I'll then start incorporating anaerobic exercise 1 to 3 days per week. If you want to learn how I use my heart rate monitor, then comment below and I'll make a future video on that. I used to spend hours prepping my meals on a Sunday, and I couldn't for the life of me figure out how people were able to prep a whole week's worth of food in an hour or 2 because it took me twice as long. And I really hated it until I bought an air fryer and an Instant Pot. I can't believe I used to meal prep without these things because they really make cooking feel like no work at all. I use my air fryer for things like potatoes and roasted vegetables, fish, chicken wings. I mean, I use it for so many things and I love it. I use my Instant Pot for things like soups and stews and curries. I just put the stuff in there and just leave it to do the work. The tip here is to get yourself tools to help make meal prepping easier for you so that you can stick to a healthy eating plan and keep the pounds off. I didn't realize before the role stress played in belly fat and how difficult it was making it for me to lose weight. There are multiple studies out there that show you how stress and lack of sleep can increase your levels of cortisol, aka the stress hormone. Having higher levels of cortisol actually makes you feel hungrier and makes you crave foods that have high levels of fat, sugar, and calories. Learning how to manage life's ups and downs with stress-reducing activities has helped me to manage stress in a healthy way and also to lose weight in a less extreme way. Now, how I manage stress is through a couple of mindfulness techniques, meditation being the major one. I meditate 1 to 2 times a day. So in the mornings when I wake up, and then again either before bed, or sometimes I may take like a 20-minute break during my lunch period to do that again. I always knew how important it was to have a plan to achieve my fitness goals, but I did not know how important visualization would help me to fast track that plan. Using visualization is almost like the effortless way of achieving something. No matter the type of physical exercise you do, you can use visualization and affirmation to get the most enjoyment out of it and the maximum benefit. For example, envisioning my ideal body motivates my body and mind subconsciously to carry out the habits that will get me to where I want to be. I created a treasure map to help me with my visualizations. I use the treasure map during relaxation periods to visualize myself performing day-to-day habits that will get me to my dream body and to affirm to myself that I am daily growing stronger, healthier, and in better physical shape. If you'd like to learn more about how treasure maps work, then comment below. I had a really bad habit of going to bed whenever because I was up watching television. On average, I was getting around 6 hours of sleep at night, and I was really exhausted, especially with the amount of training that I was doing. And I mentioned before how sleep affects cortisol levels. Well, that brings me to tip number 7, which is get enough sleep. Getting less than 6 to 7 hours of sleep has been linked to a higher BMI, your body mass index, and weight gain. Being sleep deprived can also increase your calorie intake and your appetite. For me, 6 hours of sleep at night was not enough given the amount of training I was doing and the amount of stress I was under physically and emotionally. Now I don't set an alarm anymore. I just allow my body to wake up naturally. And listen, I understand that not everyone has that privilege, but if you do, try as much as possible to get enough sleep, the type of sleep where you're not necessarily jarring your body with an alarm. So I've completely eliminated my morning alarm, and now I get at least 8 hours of sleep at night. And on the flip side, I actually use an alarm now to go to bed because it reminds me it's time to wind down. The point is that I listen to my body and I go to bed when I'm feeling tired instead of pushing it just to stay up and watch television. The next tip is something that's so underrated and oftentimes overlooked. As I've hit my 30s, I've been feeling more and more the negative side effects of high impact exercises like running. The repeated stress on my body from doing this is another type of stress that I try as much as possible to avoid. So now I do this low impact exercise every day. Walking. Adding 20 to 30 minutes of brisk walking every day helps you to burn extra calories, and it's definitely helpful in losing weight off your waistline. I mentioned before that my workouts were between 1.5 to 2 hours long. In January to May of 2023, I decided to do an experiment to see how I'd feel and look while doing shorter workouts. One reason is that I've got more and more busy and I'm not able to dedicate as much time in the gym. Another reason is that I know that my lack of energy was due to overtraining. In those 5 months, I was shocked to see that I lost another 8 pounds. And that's with proper nutrition, walking every day, and just doing 20 minutes of HIIT and Tabata workouts. This blew my mind because I used to think I needed to be in the gym for over an hour busting my ass just to see good results. I definitely lost some stubborn fat that I've been trying to lose for years. That brings me to tip number 9. Incorporate shorter workouts. The intensity of my workout is way more important than the duration of it. Just because I can train for over an hour doesn't mean that I should. Training 3 to 4 times a week for 20 to 30 minutes has hugely improved my fitness and has made it easier to fit into my schedule. A lot of these tips may seem really simple, but that's because they are quite simple to incorporate into any fitness or weight loss routine, and it will make it much easier and much more enjoyable. By doing these exact tips, I've been able to lose stubborn fat and keep it off without yo-yoing. Now, they may not work for everybody because we're all different, and just like me, you just have to experiment to see what works for you. With that said, it's all about slowly incorporating the foundational things and being consistent to where it becomes a habit and a lifestyle. You now have 9 tips to help you lose weight easier. But that doesn't answer the question of how on earth do you use manifestation and visualization techniques to give you that extra boost in your weight loss journey. Well, there's actually a process you can use to do exactly that. So, if you want to succeed at reaching your fitness and weight loss goals in an effortless way, then watch this video right here.